Good evening. I am Nikki Moreno Howard, and I'm one of the associate pastors at St. Matthew's United Methodist Church in Annandale, Virginia. We have been bringing our handbell choirs to perform on the Kennedy Center's Millennium stage for over 20 years, and we're delighted to be back this year to bring you music of the holiday season. The Carol Ringers opened our program with Hark the Herald Angels Sing, written 280 years ago, with music adapted from a tune by Felix Mendelssohn. While it has gone through several iterations over the years, the original hymn text was written as a hymn for Christmas Day by Charles Wesley in 1739. You may know our next selection, Carol of the Drum, by its more familiar title, The Little Drummer Boy. Written by American composer and music teacher Catherine K. Davis in 1941, it was based on a Czechoslovakian melody and was first introduced by the Trapp Family Singers in 1951. Since then, it has been recorded in 7 different languages by over 160 different artists, ranging from the Vienna Boys Choir to Bob Dylan, Justin Bieber, and Mary Kay Blige. The arrangement we will play for you this evening was adapted for bells by Michael Glasgow as part of the Raleigh Ringer series. Please enjoy Carol of the Drum. Our next piece, Christmas Eve Sarajevo, was written by Paul O'Neill, founder of the famed Trans-Siberian Orchestra. It is an instrumental medley of God Rest Ye Merry Gentlemen and Shedrick, which many of you may recognize as the melody from the popular Christmas piece, Carol of the Bells. Christmas Eve Sarajevo is based on the story of a cello player named Vedran Smolevic, who was born in Sarajevo, but left at a young age and went on to become a well-respected musician who played with various symphonies throughout Europe. Many decades later, at the height of the Bosnian War in the early 1990s, he returned to Sarajevo as an elderly man only to find his city in complete ruins. At that time, Serbs were shelling Sarajevo every night. On May 27, 1992, at 4 p.m., a mortar shell dropped in the middle of a crowded bread line, killing 22 people. But rather than head for the bomb shelters like his family and neighbors, Smilovic walked to the middle of the street where the massacre had occurred. Dressed in his formal performance attire, he sat on a battered camp stool in a crater, took out his cello, and played Mozart and Beethoven as the city was bombed. He came every night for 22 straight days, with mortar shells and bullets flying all around him, to play among the bombed ruins of Sarajevo in honor of each person killed in the bombing. Many years later, a reporter tracked him down to ask why he did such a dangerous thing. Smilovic said it was his way of proving that despite all evidence to the contrary, the spirit of humanity was still alive in that place. Here is Christmas Eve Sarajevo by Paul O'Neill, arranged for bells, cello, flute, and percussion by Hart Morris. We feature Anna Freeman on cello, Pam Godlove on flute, and Genevieve Hansen and Dan Freeman on percussion. At St. Matthew's, we start ringing bells in 3rd grade with the Rainbow Ringers, learning to play off of letter charts. 4th through 6th graders are in the Chancel Ringers. They spend their time in rehearsal, learning to read music and participate during our Sunday worship services. The Celebration Ringers are grades 7 through 9, and they meet every Tuesday evening and enjoy sharing their music at our Sunday services and at other venues such as the Salvation Army Rehabilitation Center and the Goodwin House in Alexandria. The Carol Ringers are our oldest high school group. Many of the Carol Ringers performing for you today started ringing in 3rd or 4th grade. If you started in Rainbow or Chancel Ringers, please raise your hands. They rehearse 2 hours every Monday night, and they praise God with music at our Sunday services. Since the handbell program began in 1973, St. Matthew's Ringers have made 5 recordings, which will be available for purchase this evening after our concert. St. Matthew's first introduced handbells to Kennedy Center audiences 40 years ago. The Peace Ringers and Carol Ringers have graced the Millennium stage almost every December since its introduction in the 1990s. In December 2009, the Carol Ringers were selected to perform in the Kennedy Center Concert Hall and the Choral Arts Society of Washington under Norman Scribner for the Joyeux Noel concerts. The Carol Ringers are also extremely active in sharing their music with others in the community. They have performed at the White House, the State Department, and at various other venues throughout the Washington area. They also performed at the 1996 Olympic Games in Atlanta and have toured throughout the United States. In addition to performing with the Choral Arts Society in Washington, they have also been guest artists of the U.S. Air Force Band, and this Sunday, December 8th, they will be joining the Vocal Arts Ensemble of Fairfax for Songs of the Season. Please enjoy the Carol Ringers as they perform their rendition of Leroy Anderson's perennial holiday favorite, Sleigh Ride. As the peace ringers set up, let me tell you a little bit about them. The peace ringers are one of St. Matthew's adult bell choirs. Like the carol ringers, many of them began ringing with St. Matthew's as children. For their first selection this evening, the peace ringers will play Sing We Now of Christmas. The traditional French carol, Noel Nouvelle, it highlights several of the most important parts of Christ's birth. From the rejoicing of heaven and earth with shepherds and angels, to the fulfilling of prophecies, the coming of the wise men. It reminds us that Christ's birth changed the world. This arrangement by Kathy Mockelbust is most often heard during the Christmas and Easter seasons. By combining malleted bells with a free-flowing melody, the opening suggests the new birth of both seasons. The varied bell techniques incorporated into the remainder of the piece create a dynamic ensemble sound enhanced by the rhythmic use of the chime tree, finger cymbals, tambourine, and tenor drum. Please enjoy Sing We Now of Christmas. The First Noel is a traditional, classical English Christmas carol. It was first published in Carols Ancient and Modern in 1823 and in Gilbert and Sandy's Carols in 1833, both of which were edited by William Sandys and arranged, edited, and with extra lyrics written by Davies Gilbert for hymns and carols of God. The melody is unusual among English folk melodies in that it consists of one musical phrase repeated twice, followed by a refrain, which is a variation on that phrase. All three phrases end on the third of the scale. The arrangement we will play for you this evening is also by Kathy Mockelbust. Listen for how she uses the chimes and rich harmonies to bring a lush feeling to this 17th century English carol. It starts softly and simply and builds towards a majestic ending to reflect the joy and excitement of the first Christmas, the first Noel. All Creatures of Our God and King is an English Easter hymn by William Henry Draper. The words of the hymn were initially written by St. Francis of Assisi in 1225 in the Canticle of the Sun poem, which was based on Psalm 148. Draper paraphrased the words of the canticle and set them to music for his church's Children's Festival celebrations. It was later published in 1919 in the Public School Hymn Book. The hymn is currently used in 179 different hymn books. The words written by St. Francis are some of the oldest used in hymns. In this arrangement for bells by Alex Goubert, the music reflects the imagery of the message that all creation praises God. As exciting to watch as it is to listen to, the dancing mixed meter rhythms and surprising harmonies abound, while the up and down cascading scales in the second stanza emulate the rushing wind and sailing clouds in the text, leading to a triumphant, energetic finale. Ladies and gentlemen, all creatures of our God and King. Tchaikovsky's March from the Nutcracker Suite is one of his most famous compositions. Written in 1892 as a two-act ballet, the original production of the Nutcracker was not a success. But the 20-minute suite that Tchaikovsky extracted from the ballet was. Since the late 1960s, however, the complete Nutcracker has enjoyed enormous popularity and is now performed by countless ballet companies, primarily during the Christmas season. In fact, major American ballet companies generate around 40% of their annual ticket revenues from performances of the Nutcracker. The ballet score has also been used in several film adaptations. This arrangement for bells by William H. Griffin truly captures the essence of the orchestral work. Listen as the music sparkles in the two lowest octaves. Here is Tchaikovsky's March from the Nutcracker Suite. In early 1957, Dr. Seuss, Theodore Geisel, began writing How the Grinch Stole Christmas as the follow-up to his hugely successful The Cat in the Hat. The original inspiration for the book had hit Geisel a few months earlier. According to Geisel, I was brushing my teeth on the 26th of last December when I noticed a very Grinchish countenance in the mirror. It was Seuss. I wrote about my sour friend, the Grinch, to see if I could rediscover something about Christmas that obviously I'd lost. So who was the Grinch in reality? Theodore Geisel was 53 years old when he wrote The Grinch, and in the story, the Grinch grouses that he has had to put up with the Who's for 53 years. Moreover, Theodore Geisel's license plate on his car was Grinch. So, it seems pretty obvious who the Grinch was in reality. Interestingly, the Grinch was the first adult and the first villain to be the main character in a Dr. Seuss book. Seuss's stepdaughter, Lark Diamond Cates, stated in a 2003 speech, "I almost thought the Cat in the Hat was Ted on his good days, and the Grinch was Ted on his bad days." Published at Christmas time in 1957, How the Grinch Stole Christmas was dedicated to Theodore Teddy Owens, the one-year-old son of Geisel's niece Peggy Owens. It received unanimous rave reviews, one calling the Grinch easily the best Christmas cad since Scrooge. After 60 years, How the Grinch Stole Christmas is now regarded as a holiday classic. In 1966, How the Grinch Stole Christmas gained a second life and real immortality in pop culture when CBS aired a TV special of the story. Legendary Warner Brothers cartoon director Chuck Jones took the helm for the special. "You're a mean one, Mr. Grinch," with lyrics by Theodore, Dr. Seuss, Geisel, and music by Albert Haig, was written and composed for the 1966 cartoon special. For our final selection of the evening, we leave you with a holiday favorite, Winter Wonderland by Felix Bernard and arranged for bells by Joel Rainey. In this sparkling arrangement of the secular Christmas classic, Joel Rainey paints a beautiful picture. Each verse is treated a little differently, with a variety of handbell techniques and rhythm shifts, incorporating both percussion and synthesizer, guaranteed to transport you to a magical winter wonderland. Carol Workman joins us on synthesizer. Thank you for joining us this evening. A reminder that our CDs are available for purchase. We wish you a happy holiday season filled with friends, family, and the joy of music. Please drive safely on your way home.
Thank you for joining us at the Millennium stage. For more information about our programs, please visit us online at kennedy-center.org or on Facebook. Thank you, and we hope you enjoy the rest of your evening at